Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fan. What's poppin', fam? We in this thing. Shout out to the Black and Gold Nation, representing the Coma man on this episode of the show. Early Friday morning stream. Shout out to the family. Hope you guys having a fantastic start of your day. We in here, and of course, I'm going to return later on to the day. I'm hoping to kind of do a little show later on, depending on how my schedule looks later on today. But if not, tomorrow's looking pretty busy. LSU, Alabama, Pelicans play as well. So it's going to be a pretty busy day. So we'll see how it all folds. But shout out to the fam. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed, man. We up in this thing. And listen, fam, it's looking interesting, man, for the Saints. Week 9 injury updates and team news. And it was a pretty interesting, lively day, semi-lively day for the Saints. We had several interviews. We're going to cover one particular interview by Pete Carmichael, get his thoughts. We got several articles we're going to delve into. The Thursday injury report, we're going to cover that later on today, the Friday injury report. Shout out to the whothatdaily.com. Niles Carpenter really putting in a lot of good work there. Please feel free to share his articles, man. And in this one, he's saying Saints briefing week 9 injury and updates. Of course, we see Jalen Smith there, and we'll cover that momentarily. Saints gear up for week 9 confrontation against the Bears. The team's injury report has become a focal point for the strategists and fans alike. Thursday report has revealed concerns that the Saints coaching staff will need to address if they are maintain a competitive edge on the gridiron. Now, 8 Saints players listed on the injury report. In detailed rundown, Thursday practice, Saints listed 8 players. And let's delve into those 8 players listed on the injury report. Linebacker Ty Summers, concussion hamstring, did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Wide receivers Lynn Bowden Jr. had an illness. He was limited today. Wide receiver Michael Thomas fully practiced, which is good news for Mike and us as well. Offensive lineman Andrews Pete had an ankle. He fully practiced today. That's a positive. Taysom Hill was dealing with a hip issue. Last week, it was a chest issue. He was limited in action. James Hurst is back out there in limited action with an ankle. Demario Davis is also limited with a knee issue. And Malcolm Roach had an illness. He did not play Thursday. And we'll see how he looks into the final injury report as well. So the Bears situation, guard Nate Davis did not play. He was DNP. We know about Justin Fields' right thumb was DNP. Terrell Smith, the cornerback, was DNP with illness, concussion by Jaquan Brisker, DNP. Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker, was DNP'd. Braxton Jones, the offensive lineman, was limited. Lucas Patrick, another offensive lineman, fully practiced from a back issue. Eddie Jackson, the safety, fully practiced. Mercedes Lewis, the tight end, DNP'd. And offensive lineman Larry Borum, who was DNP'd. He was dealing with not injury related, but personal issues. So, and that's some of it. Now, in terms of Jalen Smith, his departure to the Raiders, amidst the injury updates, the Saints roster has experienced a shakeup with the linebacker Jalen Smith departing to the Raiders after being signed off the Saints practice squad. Now, Smith was a once heralded prospect from Notre Dame. He suffered a knee injury that seen his stock fall. Eventually made his mark in the NFL with the Cowboys, highlighted by a Pro Bowl appearance in 2019. Despite his Pro Bowl credentials, Dennis Allen expressed that Smith's role on the team was not cemented, leading to his eventual signing with the Raiders. Smith's departure underscores the often tumultuous journey of NFL careers, where past accolades offer no guarantees of future success. So Jalen Smith, no longer on the team, was picked and pilfered off of the Saints practice squad by the Raiders. And the reason being is because this man and the GM was fired. So let's talk about this article put up by Yard Barker. Saints Derek Carr reacts to Raiders firing Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Saints quarterback Derek Carr reacted Wednesday to the Raiders and his former employer firing both head coach Josh McDaniels and general manager Dave Ziegler following Tuesday's trade deadline. I've been through it, and this is business so tough that we forget the human side of things, Carr told reporters during a news conference, per Grant Gordon of the NFL's website. So my heart is for Josh, is for Josh and Dave, or my friends over there dealing with another change. I lost count of how many coaches it was for me at that point. There's another change for those guys to go through a new scheme to learn, new philosophy that doesn't make it easy as a player. But at the end of the day, nobody cares. You keep it pushing. That McDaniels and Ziegler joined the Raiders back in 21, and the coach benched Carr late last December before the organization parted ways with the signal caller this past February. Carr ultimately signed with the Saints and later revealed he knew he couldn't stay with the Raiders once they made my wife cry, despite the 32-year-old offered no harsh words for either McDaniels or Ziegler. He says, Carr, Saints have endured somewhat of a roller coaster. First season, you want to, you ain't lying, working together and heading to the weekend at 4-4. The Saints next host the 2-6 Bears this coming Sunday. So at the end of the day, it's a business. Carr added. They know that, and they'll be fine. Move on. They'll have jobs in the leagues for sure. According to the ESPN stats, Carr began Thursday, ranked 17th in the NFL among qualified players, with a 50.0 adjusted QBR and 18th with an 87.6 passer rating on the campaign. He tossed 8 touchdowns against 4 picks in New Orleans' first 8 games. Nothing spectacular, but we also realized that Josh McDaniels canned the hell out of Derek Carr last year, benched him, upset him. And we said this about Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels had 2 failed stints. He was with Denver. He failed there. He was with the Raiders. He failed there. And he ultimately ended up running back to Bill Belichick to be with New England. Ultimately, Bill Belichick leaves and retires. Josh McDaniels, more than likely, if he's still there, will take over the Patriots. So he'll just go back to Belichick. That's what he ended up doing. So the Raiders continue a pitfall going down, and it happened after they didn't make any trades. So the owner kind of said, you know what, this team is not improving. I don't like where we're going. You didn't make any trades. Because perhaps if he would have made a trade, he probably would still be there. The Saints was a team that was looking at Hunter Renfrow. That didn't work. And I said in the previous stream, I wonder how that would have worked to have Hunter Renfrow here, and you have Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Michael Thomas. How would that have worked out? So anyway, that didn't happen. And what did happen is Josh McDaniels got canned, and rightfully so, because he stinks as a head coach, and the general manager, whoever the guy was, general manager, didn't do swell either. And this is a results-driven business. At the end of the day, they got paid. They did not perform, and they put them in the street. So somebody else will have to take it over for them. And Carr took the high side, which is a positive. Anyway, let's jump to the next one. With us losing Jalen Smith to the Raiders, who had new administration moved in, they looked at the Saints practice squad, say, hey, man, we can use this guy as a starter. The Saints said, sure, you can have him. But the Saints didn't stop there. They went out and they had to find somebody else to put on that practice squad. And the Saints inked linebacker Cory Littleton. Now, if you remember Cory Littleton, the name should sound familiar to you because he's been around the block a couple of times. Saints further fortified the linebacker depth with the addition of Cory Littleton to the practice squad, according to Aaron Wilson. The strategic move follows Littleton's recent release from the Houston Texans, where he briefly contributed on special teams. The acquisition of Littleton provides the Saints with an experienced player eager to reestablish himself with the league and possibly contribute to the team's defensive strategy as the season unfolds. As seasoned professional, Littleton's career arc has been one of the undulating fortunes since he entered the league as an undrafted free agent back in 2016. He carved out a significant role for himself with the Rams, where he peaked as the leading tackler in a memorable 2018 NFC Championship game. And at this time with the Rams, Littleton went on to stints with the Raiders, Carolina, amassing substantial experience, has 542 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 6 picks, and in a total of 110 games. The Saints signing of Littleton may be a savvy tactical plays, familiarity with the Saints play style, having to face them in week 6 as a Texan will serve him as he acclimates to the team's defensive playbook. So we'll see how it all looks going forward, but his track record of solid performance and versatility, Littleton stands ready to enhance the Saints special teams defensive depth, perhaps once again be a pivotal player as he's been in past seasons. So they signing him on to the practice squad. So Cory Littleton, another NFL veteran, the Saints bring in to kind of help fortify the rankings or the ranks. Now, of course, you guys know that Demario Davis is dealing with a knee issue, which being showed that it's not one that'll knock him out of the game, that he can play with the knee issue. But having a veteran like Cory Littleton after losing Jalen Smith does help the Who Dat Nation breathe a little easier, even though the fact that we really wanted Jalen Smith to remain here. But ultimately, for him to do that, somebody would have to have been adjusted. And the Saints feel comfortable with what they're doing right now. So hence they're allowing Jalen Smith out. And remember, this is similar to what happened a couple of years ago with Eric Wilson. Same thing happened with Eric Wilson. Solid linebacker in preseason, came in as a veteran, perfect fit for the Saints defense. He was not protected. He was allowed to be pilfered off the practice squad because the Saints favored Zach Bowen. Same thing, history repeating itself with Jalen Smith. Same thing happened again. Saints favor Bowen over a Jalen Smith or a Eric Wilson. It's just what it is, right? But truth be told, to Zach Bowen has a sack and a half of this year. So Zach Bowen doing a few positive things. He had the interception, then the fumble back, but he's been doing some pretty decent special teams work, and the Saints are pleased with, I guess, for what they're doing for him right now. But they prefer him over an Eric Wilson or Jalen Smith. So that's very curious. But the Saints do put a linebacker back on a team by the name of Cory Littleton to help out there. He's not on the active roster, but the Saints signed him to be strictly a person that will participate on the practice squad. And if they need to call him up, they sure will do it. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at the Saints practice squad currently. These are some of the guys that's on the practice squad: Abram Smith, Ryan Connerly, Cameron Dantzler Sr., Cameron Irvin, Mark Evans II, Jack Heflin, Fayon Hicks, Tommy Hudson, Michael Jacobson, Jontre Kirkland, Tommy Kramer, Nico Lalos, Jordan Mims, Anthony Orji, and of course Jalen Smith's gone. He's no longer here. And you'll see Cory Littleton take this slot, and Daniel Sorensen's there. So that's the practice squad the Saints currently have according to their website. So anyway, let's keep it pushing, man. We're going to move on to a few things from Twitter that I came across my feed. This is one of the things that I seen, which is worth a note. This is from PFF. They mentioned ball hawks. If you can take a look at this list of these 4 players, you'll see something very interesting. PFF, most interceptions and forced incompletions this season. Darius Williams has 14 of those said things. Darian Bland, 10 for the Cowboys. Benjamin St. Just has 10. And, of course, Paulson Adebo. There you go, Paulson Adebo right there. Is tied second with those guys in terms of most interceptions and forced incompletions. So how about that with Paulson Adebo leading the Saints with picks? I think he has 2 for the Saints, so not a bad move. And, of course, people talked a lot about Paulson Adebo and about Alontae Taylor taking his position. And Adebo heard a lot of that. And people forgot Paulson Adebo, how good he was coming out in his freshman year. He went through a sophomore slump. People forget that sometimes, that is I guess you could say that is a consistent and traditional thing that these players go through. There is such a thing as a sophomore slump, and not everyone, but the majority of players in football, basketball, whatever, it happens. You know, it's that second year acclimation if you continue to work on your craft and you get to the third level. And then when you get to that third year, things smooth out for you. But getting through that sophomore slump, we seen that happen with people before it happened to Paulson Adebo last year. Hell, it's happening to you see Alontae Taylor having a little bit of it this year. You know, you see Olave go through it. You're seeing Olave having some issues. I'm not Alontae Taylor, I'm sorry, but I was thinking of Chris Olave. You're seeing Chris Olave going through it. So, and he is still leading the team in catches, so, but still in all, you see he's still adjusting and going through it. And it's a part of the game. But shout out to Paulson Adebo, man, shutting down the haters that was talking mess about him. And this is also another tweet from Aaron Summers via Twitter. Saints Rashid Shaheed has 988 all-purpose yards in 2023, which is ranked second in the NFL. How about that? 12 all-purpose yards Sunday. He would reach 1,000 at the halfway point of the season. So that's pretty damn good for Rashid Shaheed, NFL leader. Almost 21 yards per catch and 6.2 point per return. So this is a very fantastic thing to talk about with our kick return and punt return. He had a touchdown this year, and I'm pretty sure he'll probably end up getting another touchdown somewhere down the line. We just got to block better for him. So a few things right there. All right, and ultimately, let's move on, fam. Let's get into our final portion of the show. I'm not going to hold you guys too long. Here's Pete Carmichael from today's broadcast, or yesterday rather, Thursday broadcast, about him talking about the Saints offense. Once a week we'll get Pete Carmichael's thoughts, and we want to kind of stay focused on what Pete Carmichael got going on, because the reality is the Saints offense did do much better in this game, and they took our advice. They really did, because we often talked about the Saints needing to take the ball out of the hands, take the ball completely, not completely, but taking the ball out of the hands of a guy, of Carr, in the last matchup. Remember, toward the back end of the game, he did throw the touchdown to Rashid Shaheed in the game, but Taysom Hill was the guy that was really making it work. They set Carr on the sideline, put Taysom Hill in there, and Taysom Hill was able to do some fantastic things in there. So Saints understanding now finally that you want to take pressure off the quarterback, use the running attack. That is the way to win right now, until said quarterback ultimately catches up with what he needs to do. But let's hear what Pete Carmichael had to say, family. Y'all put one in the chat.
Okay.
Pete, is there anything particular about Taysom's skill set that makes him really good in those goal line, short yard situations, beyond just being maybe fast?
Well, I think there's a level of physicality too that he brings, where sometimes there's going to be one unblocked guy, and his ability either to make him miss or kind of run through the tackle is something that makes it even that much better.
You do see some bigger guys like him that aren't able to do that. So I guess how hard is that to find a guy who can always run that?
Yeah, I think there's obviously he's rare. We love having him in the game. Love when he gets those opportunities to do that. You saw him, make a couple guys missed in the open field as well this past week. So I think that anytime we get that opportunity, he's obviously a guy that when he can have the ball in his hands, there's an opportunity for a big play.
There's a stat out there. It's 17-1 when he gets 7 carries in the game. You think that's just because the way those games go, that he gets more?
I think sometimes when you're converting on third down, you're getting more plays, you're extending drives, there's more opportunities. I think sometimes there's also games where maybe the defense might be dictating exactly. Maybe there's times where might be a call for him and he's getting us out of the play, or he's handing the ball off, or things. He's reading an end or something. But again, I think that obviously that stat's out there. I think anytime he has an opportunity to carry the ball, you feel pretty good about what's going to happen.
How does Mike Thomas's presence affect the offense? How does it influence what you guys are able to do?
Well, I think that Mike Thomas, you have an opportunity to throw the ball to him one-on-one. I think that you're confident that he's the guy that's going to come down with the ball. I think that he's been a great leader for that room, and I think on the sidelines on game day he's been great, been positive, and I think that that wears on the other players in a great way. That there's energy, there's excitement. So I think that again, we're glad we got him and feel confident anytime the ball has a chance to be in his hands.
Why do you think the offensive line play has improved so much over the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think Doug and Kevin have done a great job with those guys. I think just more time they get together. I know we've had to mix up a few lineups here and there, but I think that They've been playing well, particularly the last few games, and I think that they're all on the same page. They're playing well as a unit, I think. And I think Eric's doing a great job with the communication, getting everybody on the same page.
Goal line, how did you guys land on Saunders being in that fullback role? I know you guys had an injury, but
yeah, I think it started with the injury and then kind of discussion among the coaching staff to include the defensive coaches. Hey, let's kind of think about it. Who do we have on the team that we feel maybe can fill that role? And there was a few names thrown out, but he's done a good job for us, and we're very confident for that role for him.
it's like jumbo packages, but if you look at kind of what you do with Taysom being in there, especially it's the size of it. What does that kind of bring to you guys just having a line that big, and can it kind of counteract maybe defenses playing?
I think it gives you numbers of, they're going to try to maybe outnumber you a little bit, I think, but there's always maybe going to be one extra because obviously you got the guy carrying the ball. But I think that it brings a physical presence with all those guys, and that also fits how we see Taysom being a physical runner. Again, you can still make some guys miss in the open field, but I think that package is particular to, hey, it's going to be a physical battle, and let's go win it up front.
Saunders been campaigning for that?
I wouldn't say. I think it was. I don't know. Maybe guys on the team. He's obviously a guy that everybody loves. Fired up when he gets his chances to get out there. I don't know. There's probably a few guys that would have loved to be in that role, but again, I think he's done a good job, and he's earned it to keep doing it.
That's interesting because we talked about that now when Adam Prentice went out, and Adam Prentice wasn't doing the stuff. I mean, my goodness. Colin Saunders has done a wonderful job as a fullback in the goal line package for him. I mean, if we can only find a guy that can do that for real, Adam Prentice is not a guy that'll knock your socks off. I mean, he gets in there and he'll throw a block or two, but nothing clearing out or punching out lanes like a Colin Saunders do. And perhaps the Saints need to find that. Perhaps if the Saints were going to run something like that and more traditional, see if they can find another fullback. It's been a couple of games since Adam Prentice went on the injury list. That was kind of why it kind of, even though we don't use Saunders except for on the goal line, but what about between, with the rest of the yardage when we need to use a fullback to kind of help lead block for an Elvin Kamara or Jamal Williams or a Kendre Miller to kind of help punch a hole open so those guys can get to the second level of the defense. So why didn't we go out and see if we can find somebody? We didn't really do that. What they did do is they put JP, on, forgot the man name, but the tight end, they called him up from the roster and brought him into the team. And my thing was why didn't the Saints just go out and find another guy while Adam Prentice is sitting out banged up, and that's one of the things that I was thinking about. Why didn't they just go out and find somebody to do it for you, But I do like the Colin Saunders play in which how he does it when he gets out there and helps do that on the goal line. But like I said, I kind of thought that the team would use find another fullback or somebody that can do it for you, or perhaps a tight end that can double as a fullback that can kind of help do that. So I was looking forward to seeing that happen, but the Colin Saunders play, I love that. That was a bit of good innovation by the Saints doing some pretty clever things.
I think that's it. I think there's a lot of the old linemen beg for it too, but I think that obviously the role that he's doing for us, we're happy with.
Pete, I can't remember if anyone's asked you about the tush push before.
Pete Carmichael laughed kind of out of character. We don't see him often laugh like that, but he's always a reserved kind of conservative personality. But he laughed at that, but I'm telling you, that's on the way. If he's blocking, sooner or later, they're going to give Big Colin Saunders the ball so he can run in there and get a touchdown. So be watching out for that against the Chicago Bears. Watch.
Before, but I thought it would because Alvin compared Taysom to that. What do you do when you see something like that that's so effective? Have you guys tried it in practice? And why is it harder for other teams?
I think it's a combination when you study them and how they do it. I mean, obviously they do a great job with their front. They stay low. They get off the ball. Obviously the quarterback's great at it as well. I think that I'm sure everybody has studied it, and some teams I think have tried to incorporate it throughout the season as you're watching it. Obviously Philly obviously has them a ton of success with it, so they should keep doing it. Sometimes when we talk about it, and some people might say, "Oh, it's a great role for maybe Taysom to do." And sometimes in the middle of the game, do you want him to go in and take a snap under center that he hasn't taken one all? So, but it's been discussed. It's something we've practiced in the past in training camp this past season. But obviously, Philly's had a ton of success with it, and I think they do a great job as well. They're well coached with how they do it, and the offensive linemen come off the ball, and I think the quarterback's strong, physical, that pushes the pocket.
Does it remind me what you guys used to have with Breeze, where it's like his QB sneak was something like 29 out of 30 or something?
Yeah, and I know when he would get down on the goal line, he was up and over. But I think that he finding the holes for Drew he did a great job with that.
When you have a player, the concept of like Chris Olave had that missed out on the big play when it bounced off of him. I know Derek went back to him on the very next play. I think he went back to him.
He did
on the first one of the next series too. Are there moments in a game where you're like, as a play caller, you decide, I want to get that guy's head right back in the game. I want to go right back to him.
Yeah, I think there was, hey, let's get him going. But I think really two different calls. One was second down, and then really the third down call just happened to be, hey, we got the coverage that the ball went there. And then as you're talking about, the next call was obvious. Hey, let's get him going and find a completion. Maybe not necessarily downfield, but just. But again, I think that the fact that there was a sequence there for second and third down, it wasn't.
That next series was.
Yeah, I mean, at least just talk on the sideline, say let's find a completion or whatever it is. But there's discussions about any time in a game to get it going, I think. But again, on the second and third down, it was just the second down call was designed for him, and then the third down could have been specific to coverage.
With Chris in particular, I mean, he said the other day he feels like he's one big game away. I mean, how much does that weigh on you when you have a player that you just kind of want to unlock, that you're looking for the right play, the right series, the right game that does do that?
Yeah, I think that obviously I think that I have all the confidence in the world that if his number's called, that the ball, he's going to come down with the ball. I think it's just a matter of just, again, continuing give him those opportunities. And I think that that one game is going to come where it's his numbers are, ridiculous. But I think, again, it's just, it's one game at a time. We got to get it going. And so I think that's part of us as coaches, making sure he has those opportunities.
Last year we saw this team as a team, but also on the offensive side, kind of ride a little bit of the roller coaster, right? Like the win and followed by a couple of losses, things like that. What about the win in Indianapolis this past weekend gives you all confidence that you're at the sustained success that you found towards the end of last season?
Yeah, I think again, it's one game. And again, we gotta find a way offensively to put more than just one game together. It can't be up and down like you're saying. I think that there's always been a lot of confidence with this group. I think we feel good about the personnel, and I think we feel good about the game plan that we're putting together. We have a great relationship with the players, and I think that just the talk of, hey guys, it's time to. We can't just have one game and then come. We gotta find a way to start stringing some of these together.
Yeah, and that's important, man. That Pete Carmichael and the reporters are doing a good job to kind of fixating on the fact that the Saints need to be more consistent. That's what it boils down to, because having these outings where you were able to put up a really decent offensive production against the Indianapolis Colts, it was missing a few pieces there, the quarterback, and they made it very interesting. But the Saints kind of let them stay in the game by not being fundamental and making sure they contain the quarterback and not allow him to create and ad-lib on plays. But outside of that, that's the big question. Saints were able to get a positive win there to get back to 500, but can they put wins together? Next two teams that they do face are teams that are struggling to have backup quarterbacks that'll be there. So it's an advantage in terms of them not having their starters there, and the Saints could take advantage of the fact that those teams are missing key players. And it's a shame for those family bases, supporter bases, but it is what it is in the NFL. Saints have an opportunity to kind of win two more games or win three straight heading into the bye, once they come out the bye against Atlanta. But just looking at the Chicago game, the Saints have to be, they have to be looking at this game and saying, man, this game is a game that's catered to us. It'll be in the dome. We should be able to beat the Chicago Bears team. They're not very good. They brought Montez Sweat in, and they do have some players there, but a total complete team. This is not. This team struggles. There's a team that's missing their starting quarterback. They're not exactly a world-beating team. They're up and down and mostly down. But in the end, the Saints should beat this team. It should be a blowout performance. I'm saying the Saints should be beating this team. In the end, the lead, it should be like 31-17 or 31-14 or 31-10. It should be 30, something like that. It should be like 34-10 Saints, 31-34-10 Saints, or 31-34-13 or something like that. 31-34, either 34-13, 31-14, or or 31-10, 31-13, something in that range. You see what I'm saying? The Saints should be able to beat this team. Now, I'm not overlooking them mind you, because my fixation, and I'll play the defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, momentarily, because I'm looking at the offense, and the questions I have is, can this offense reproduce the success that they did? It took them a couple of games before they were able to do some of the positive stuff that you've seen in the New England Patriot matchup, and the Saints were able to do. And some of the positive things from the losses that they added into the game plan, where they were kind of got desperate and had to say, man, we got to do this. We got to put this in here. So do they stick to the run against the Bears to set up the pass? Do they keep implementing the Taysom Hill? And we know Taysom's banged up. He have I think it was a hip issue this week. Last week it's a chest issue. So he's getting beat up pretty good. So, what do the Saints, how did they handle that? Did they kind of dial back on Taysom? He's getting beat up a little bit. You see what I'm saying? How do they then deal with that? Now, the Saints still have a three-head running back monster approach that they could use. Be good to see them use or find another fullback to mix in with when you bring big Kalen Saunders, to the goal line package to punch in a touchdown. Would be pretty good if the Saints would find somebody that can play fullback. I don't know why they didn't go and find another guy when the other guy got hurt, a real fullback that can go in there and help them between the 20s. But in the end, man, we'll see how it all shakes, but we'll cover the defensive questions momentarily.
I mean, last year that you hit the 3-game win streak towards the end of the year that almost got you where you wanted to go. How important is it to maybe find that success here and now?
Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's been too long, that we haven't been able to be consistent enough, game after game after game. But I think that obviously we've got a big challenge this week with the defense that we're seeing. But again, it's important for us to, just not let it be an up and down roller coaster.
What's that about the Bears defense?
I think that when you look at them, they're stout against the run. I think their linebackers tackle well. When you look back at the back end, there's a lot of ball production from that group. I think they're physical, they're tough, they compete. And obviously they got a good addition this week that's an impact player that's disruptive.
You guys were so much more successful in the red zone. Do you think you unearthed some things from taking a hard, long look at it, or just?
I don't know. I think that just things worked out, and we players made some big time plays. And again, you look at some of them, and maybe maybe not necessarily maybe the best call or what, but the players found a way to execute and make plays.
And a lot more reliance on the run game. Was that by design that you saw you could do more of that, or?
Yeah, I think it's always been kind of a point of emphasis. Hey, for us to have success in the red zone, we got to be able to run it. And so I think, but really the way that game flowed, when our third down was better, we still felt like we could have been better than it was. But I think when you're continuing to sustain some drives, it gives you an opportunity to call some more plays and some more runs, particularly.
All right, so that's Pete Carmichael. A lot of this interview and the one last week were a lot better than the previous ones. You get a little bit more comfortable answering questions, being a little bit more specific in his topics, being a little bit more descriptive of what he sees and how he sees it, as opposed to throwing out these platitudes that we hear often. So, I mean, the offense, the biggest concern I have about the Saints offense is, can they reproduce the success that they have from the prior matchup? They didn't do it in the New England game, and ultimately led in the 2-game losing streak. The Saints come back, they break the streak with a win against the Colts. Really, truly, they should be able to beat the Bears. The Bears do have some real good pieces on offense and defense, but they are not a complete team. They are struggling, and this is one of the teams when they come into your building, they're wounded. You got to beat the hell out of them, stump on them, and get them on up out of here. You don't play with them, because this is a desperate team. Desperate teams do all kind of stuff. They know they're dealing with issues, so they're gonna throw whatever they got at you. So it won't be an easy game. But at the end, Saints got to step on them. They got to take their wheel from them and dominate them. This is one of the games where you would like to see the Saints as a complete team show killer instinct like they did in the New England Patriot game. This is something that we need to see in week 9 of the NFL season. The Saints can't play around with this team. They got to get them up out of here. So it'll be interesting. And the biggest question I have on offense is, can the Saints stick to what works? They didn't do it after the New England game. Do they stick with what works? And of course, you heard Carmichael, which was telling toward the back end of his conversation there when he mentioned how the game flowed and they felt like they could run the ball and do what they do against the Indianapolis Colts. Will that be the same temperament that he has against the Chicago Bears? So we'll see how it all shifts and goes moving forward, family. We'll see how it all shifts and goes, but it'll be interesting, man. That's the main thing that I have for the Saints offense is to figure out, can they consistently do what works? That means doing what works. And we'll do a Chicago Bears, Saints versus Bears preview Friday. But would it be, later on today. So would it be interesting to find out if the Saints can still stick to the keys to victory? We'll go over it in the Friday afternoon stream. We'll look at the Bears, take a look at the Bears, and we'll go from there. But can they stick to the running attack? That's the biggest thing. The Saints it appears that they'll get Hurst back in this matchup that'll help the running attack. We'll see. But ultimately, can the Saints continue to run the ball? That's what it comes down to. Can they continue to run the ball? Can they get the pass going off the back of the run? Keeping the turnovers down. Carr getting the ball out fast. So we'll see how it all looks going, but that's the big question in terms of the Saints offense is, can they stick to that? Can they keep the what's positive working so they can keep the wins coming? All right, now let's transition over to the defense. Now, we knew last week, the Saints defense gave up plays it shouldn't have given up, which was the biggest, really frustrating thing about the game is that throughout this season, in many of the games, the Saints are allowing these middle of the pack or mediocre back 20 quarterback between 20 and 30 second ranked quarterbacks to scramble around and make things difficult. Baker Mayfield had his best game against the Saints, best game in the NFL in a while against the Saints, who were scrambling around in there throwing passes. They made him look like Joe Montana in there, made him look like Vince Young, Steve Young, and it was just ridiculous. All because the Saints continue to have problems containing the pocket, and they have zero gap discipline. And it kept happening in the Indianapolis Colts game with Gardner Minshew running around in there and allowing him to leak out and create plays. It kept happening, play after play after play. It was so frustrating because the Saints defense, can't blame it on rest. They would just totally allow these teams to stay in the game. It was really frustrating. We should have blew them out. But the Saints defense have to do a better job of that. That is a key concern of mine now that's very present when you see a guy like a Gardner Minshew or a Baker Mayfield or, move around in the pocket like they're Joe Montana or Tom Brady or something or, whatever. Just allowed to stand there and make plays. And then when the damn defensive line splits like the Red Sea and there's a giant piece of green real estate, the guy just running all over the field, creating plays, extending plays, and keeping them on the field, tiring them out. Can't do that, man. We got to do a better job of maintaining gap discipline, meaning that we be able, if we're going to rush the passer, but we perform it in a way where you know what you're supposed to do. You maintain integrity while you rushing the quarterback. You do not allow giant, massive gaps to open up so guys can take off on you. So anyway, let's see what Joe Woods had to say about some of the things about his defense. We got to clean a lot of that up. But here's Joe Woods.
You got a lot of Jordan Howden snaps to grade this week. How far has he come since his first start, and what can he still do better?
Yeah, I thought he played really well for us. He was around the ball, had a lot of good production. And for him, his strength is versatility. So he can play both high safety positions. He can play the dime, buck. We can play him a nickel if we need to. But I feel like he's more comfortable. I talk to him on the sideline all the time. He comes up and asks me different questions. But he's definitely feeling more comfortable, not trying to make perfect plays or play perfectly. So he's definitely getting more comfortable. And I think that he has a really bright future for us.
And Joe, not a lot of film on Bears quarterback, I guess, but what kind of challenges are that? Is that right?
You have to go off of what you see on tape. When you watch him, you feel like he has, control of the offense. You can see him going through the progressions, making some checks at the line of scrimmage. So he definitely understands it. He has a good arm. You can see him throw the ball down the field. He's very mobile in the pocket, very quick. So, he keeps plays alive. But I think he's doing a good job, just from what I've seen so far on tape.
It seems like this year there's been a lot of quarterbacks that you're getting to without a ton of tape on them. Is that something where you have to be a little more, forward thinking and okay, this is what we think they're going to do as opposed to what you've actually seen?
Yeah, you really go off of what's on tape. Sometimes you can look back and just, look at some, maybe plays they played in the preseason, things of that nature. But basically once teams get in the season, they're going to run their system. So you really kind of coach what you see, and then you adjust on the sideline to anything else they may game plan for you.
That's a great question by the reporter to ask about limited film on this quarterback. Joe Woods talked about him being mobile. That is a problem for the Saints defense. Mobile quarterbacks give Saints defense a problem. And I don't know if I can call a Gardner Minshew or a Baker Mayfield mobile, but the Saints defense definitely turned them into mobile and make it real simple for them, because when you see all that real estate in front of you, you might as well run. And there's 10-yard cushion between you and the guy in front of you. So we'll see how that all works and goes, but it's a bit of a danger dealing with an unknown quantity. And like Joe said, that, you see what these guys do and then you make adjustments and stop them. And the Saints, for the most part, defensively speaking, they've done a pretty decent job of that this year.
Joe, what's just your general review of the pass rush so far this year?
It's good. We do different things defensively. We want to be multiple. What we do up front, we want to be multiple with our coverage package, whether it's zone, man, or pressure. So there's different things that we're doing. Sometimes if we're in a 3-man rush and the quarterback scrambles, we understand that. Other times we bring pressure, we expect to affect the quarterback. This year it's been a mix of a little bit of everything, and we've played some more athletic quarterbacks that were able to extend plays, because of their ability. So it's something we talk about, something that we plan, each week, just to have different things to try to keep the quarterback in the pocket.
Is the sack number maybe, 15? Is that indicative of anything?
No, you always want that number to be high, but I think it's about how you pressure the quarterback. Maybe it's not the sack number compared to other teams, in the NFL at this point, but it's how many times you get the quarterback off the spot, how many times you hit the quarterback. And I do feel like we're doing a good job in that department.
Do you guys agree with that? I love Joe Woods. He's such a cool dude. But do you guys in the Who Dat Nation agree with that? Do you agree with the fact that the Saints are hitting the quarterback? They're getting to the quarterback a lot this year. Are you agreeing with that? I know Carl Granderson has 5.5 sacks. Cam has 1. I think Zach Bowen has a sack and a half. But you think the Saints are doing a good job of ruffling the feathers, so to speak, of opposing quarterbacks? How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel? After all, we are 4-4. The Jordan Love game was ridiculous. We didn't get to him nearly enough. That ultimately put 18 points to win the game. The Baker Mayfield thing, we didn't 1 sack maybe, and that was after he got rolling. The Gardner Minshew, even though that was a win, he scrambled around and made it a headache of sorts and more dramatic than what it was supposed to be. So, and, really the only game I've seen where it was a shutdown game was Matt Jones, and he was so bad in the matchup when he just blanked them. But in the end, we've seen a lot of that stuff going on. But do you guys agree with Coach Joe about the defensive line that he feels comfortable about the amount of knockdowns or whatever that they're giving to him? Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Here we go.
a good perspective of this. How hard is it to add somebody to a defense midway through a season, whether it be a defensive end or is it easier for one position or another, or how difficult is that?
It's difficult, but it's something that we're accustomed doing. You try to bring that player in and get them caught up to speed as fast as you can. So you're in there meeting with them, in the morning, meeting with them at night, showing them tape. But it's a normal thing that happens. But it takes you a week or two, and the guys will get comfortable the more and more they're in the system.
I asked that question because the Derek just added Montez Sweat. So I was kind of trying to figure out, is it easier if you're, at a defensive end position, outside of run fits and rushing the quarterback? Does it depend on the system or whatever?
Well, I'm sure they're going to put him in situations where they feel he can have success. They're not going to try to ask him to do everything within their scheme. It's very simple. Get on third down. Here's a couple things we're going to run and let them rush. That's what we do in our situation is, if we added somebody added to the defense, we make sure that when we put him in, it would be a package that he could handle.
The team added Cory Littleton to the practice squad after the departure of Jalen. What do you like about Littleton's game?
Yeah, right now I just met him. So I really can't tell you much. I know he's a guy that's played a lot in the league. Man, this came up really, late yesterday. So, I'll get a chance to look back and kind of see who he is as a player and get a chance to meet him. But just from what I know he's been a good player in this league.
And how good are the Raiders getting in Jalen Smith?
A good football player. He's played in this league. We've all seen him play. I think just in terms of fit, in terms of what they're doing, they must have liked what they saw from him, especially from his time in Dallas and in New York. But he was a good guy. He's around, very smart, practiced very hard. It's just the nature of the game sometimes, And they came and got him, and, there wasn't much we can do about it.
So how do you evaluate that?
Could have did something. Could have moved somebody else off the active roster and said, Jalen Smith, move you up to the extra roster. We put this other guy on the practice squad. But in the end, like I said, Zach Bowen is undefeated when it comes down to that. Veteran linebackers, he beat Eric Wilson, and he beat Jalen Smith, even though those guys are a lot further ahead in their career than he is. But credit to Zach Bowen, he's done a lot better this year than he's done in the past, to be honest with you. And that's saying a lot. But in the end, I still would have kind of decided if it had to come down to either one of those guys, I would have took Jalen Smith to be on the active roster. But even though hopefully we stay relatively healthy, we know DeMeyer's dealing with a knee. Shout out to Pete Werner, who didn't miss any time up to this point. Pete Werner's been there. And, of course, Zach Bowen is the third guy. And Dennis Allen prefers Zach Bowen, and it's what it is. But we could have activated him. But in the end, it is what it is. Cory Littleton's here. We'll see how he fits if, hopefully we don't need to use him. He stay relatively healthy. We'll see. But anyway, let's finish up with Joe.
How's Debo's game?
He played well. I'm just, for me, coaching DBs, I really believe in challenging, players offensively, based on the defense called. And I think he really stepped up and done a nice job in those opportunities. He had a lot of balls thrown downfield on him so far. I know he's working on cleaning up the penalties, but I think that was a good game for him. It was a clean game. Had the takeaway, so it's big for him. But I think he's doing a really good job.
People forget about Paulson Adebo in his third year. This is his third year. Opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, it's not exactly an easy job, by the way. Lattimore's a shutdown cornerback. The quarterback will throw to that other side more than he would try to test Marshawn Lattimore. You think he got an easy target by Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo's done a very admirable job over there. Had the interception, as Coach Joe talked about. Had several other positive plays. Now, he did have some negative snafus like the penalties and stuff like that. A couple of those penalties were, come on, what you doing? And other ones like, come on, bro. Referee, what you doing? So, at the end of the day, the defensive coaches do tell cornerbacks at times that if you feel like you're going to get beat, grab the guy. You'd rather take the penalty than to let him take a touchdown. So that is taught. But at the end, he's right. He ought to definitely play a lot cleaner in the game. But Paulson Adebo leads the team in interceptions. He's done a phenomenal job opposite of Lattimore. People need to give him more credit.
What have you seen from Isaiah Foskey to this point? Is he progressing and maybe getting more snaps?
Yes, he is. you know, he got some good players, you know, in that D-line room, but, you know, he's getting an opportunity to get out there on the field. You know, he affected the quarterback. But he's an athletic guy, but he's just another young guy that's just going to keep getting better, you know, the more reps he gets. But we're excited about him. We feel like there's some versatility with him as a player. And he's very smart, and he's a good guy in the room. You know, they all like him. Just because we have different packages that we use. You know, he can play outside. We have some 3-man rush packages that we use, but we know that there's multiple positions we can move him around as he grows into the position.
Talk about Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, man. And a lot of people saying Q, he needs to improve, he needs to get that, and we know that. And I think eventually Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, I affectionately call him, will be a player for the Saints in the future. Just more reps is what he needs. He has the talent, and ultimately, in time, he will take it to that level. That's just how I feel about it. But anyway, with that being said, fam, that's going to do it for the stream. Listen, I appreciate you guys for chiming in on this episode of The Coma. Shout out to the fam. Y'all, please feel free to check out our this collection is getting ready to be closed off. It's called the No Excuses Collection, men, women, and children. Dozens of items of gear behind the collection. The link is in the description section below. You can simply go to the community section of the page to find the links for the No Excuses gear. Put your gear on and wear it, man, during the Saints matchups when you're out in public. It's no excuses. We're not giving any more excuses. You got everything you need to win. Let's take it to the next level. No excuses. So support the stream. Buy in the platform. Buy going to our pro shops and go and do some shopping there. There are other items too. Pro shop's been doing it for like, I don't know. We've had the pro shop for a while. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of gear, dozens of items that's available on the pro shop, not just in the current collection, but tons of gear from over the years, man. Support the stream by going to the pro shop and picking up an item, man, that helps us out as we continue to evolve and grow in this ever-changing environment. So with that being said, fam, we're going to tap out on that. I shall return later on today with a Bears Saints preview stream. We'll go over that, and also we'll open up the phone lines for family members to chime in and give their thoughts on the black and gold. We'll do all that later on today on the Friday stream. So I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday, and I'll holler at you on the flip side a little later on in the day. Much love to fam. Who dat? And I'm out. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Just WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform's store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in